Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
I want to exchange first and foremost my greetings as you did. Good morning, good noon, good evening, and close to good night. In fact, when we thought of this webinar, I said I have had the privilege of traveling across all the 7 continents in over 90 countries. And I remember those days of the early 80s, since my association with the NRIs began, and there was obviously no Zoom. Even air travel itself was no Zoom, and therefore you had to take sometimes days and hours, to go from one to the other place. But then, with all my mission, vision and passion, I have tried to champion the cause of NRIs because I have the highest admiration, love and respect for them. I believe they are one who have stood by India in the most challenging times. And therefore, if we get the benefit of their wealth and talent, I think this is the perfect time for us to remember their contribution to what the Indian economy is today. And therefore, as I said, I am getting a little nostalgic. 75 years out of 75, I have seen close to 45 years myself in the legal profession. The era of the FERA to the FEBA to the tax laws where there was hardly nothing beyond the mention of only the definition of resident and non-resident. We never had a full chapter until it came into the Income Tax Act, the statute book, in the early 80s. There was this time, I recall, in fact, the very first trip, I must share with you, Manish, when I went to Japan, with which I have my oldest association for close to 50 years now. I remember 2 things. One, the rate of the dollar to rupee was 5 rupees. And that was a time when if you had to travel, you could get nothing more than $100 as your travel allowance, and that too with an asterisk, the T&C attached, that you have to travel by Air India. So imagine the plight of people who had to travel on any carrier other than Air India. They did not have any legitimate foreign exchange with them. In fact, this decade of the 70s, which saw the highest tax rates of income tax up 97.5%, estate duty 85%, wealth tax 5%, gift tax almost close to 75%. These were responsible for, what we have been criticizing all these years, that money had flown to the Swiss banks and got into the cabinets there. We've seen that with the era of liberalization, there has been a sea change. And therefore, while I start, I want to recall and in fact remind the younger NRI community, and today they are 3.2 crores, 32 million NRIs settled all across in 130 countries. I must compliment the Kotak team that right from Sydney, it's still not 12 midnight, so people have this option of listening to us, to Los Angeles, where it is a good morning beyond 6. I think all across the globe, at least our voice is able to reach. I want to mention, because I think the toughest times on the forex front, Manish bhai, I don't know how old you were in 91, 92. I'm talking of something which is almost 30 years ago. You must have been very, very young at that time. But that was the time when gold had to be physically flown to Europe, to Switzerland in the Swiss banks, because that was the time when the India's forex reserves had gone beyond. As you know, our vehicle, automobile shows that we are not even at the reserve. It is much below and you are just about to stop. And that was the time. And that is what triggered the era of liberalization. From the $100 days to the times when the NRIs, could not take any incomes outside India, leave apart capital. Or if they had to return, they had to declare all their assets. All this looks like fiction, but it was true. And this is what I have seen with my own eyes. And therefore, I believe, in these times when we are talking of remittances and repatriations to the extent of the $1 million, it's looking as if literally, there is very little of capital account, restriction even on the forex front. This is a couplet I would like to dedicate, just as the then finance minister and a great economist of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he rose to present that epoch-making budget, his first couplet in Urdu, I was in the parliament, I used to be in the parliament, every budget time, and literally I had goosebumps when I heard it. I want to share it with my friends and all of you. He remembered Iqbal and he said that, when we talk of our country, there is something, इस मिट्टी में कुछ ऐसा है कि कोई हमें मिटा नहीं सकता. And he went on to say that civilizations have come and civilizations have gone, in the words of Iqbal. यूनान, मिस्र, रोम सब मिट गए जहां से, बाकी मगर है अब तक नामो निशा हमारा. कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, सदियां रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जहां हमारा, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. And let me tell you, that was the turning point. It is from that point of time, not just for the NRIs, the country opened up its doors to the world at large. And I would say that in these 75 years, the turning point of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, was this year 91-92, which actually founded not just economic reforms, tax reforms, forex reforms, and since then we have seen the NRIs get true freedom on the tax and the forex front.